Okay, so now that I've successfully replicated this circuit and I've posted the schematic at the beginning of this video, I just thought I would go over a few details and things that I've learned about it. This is my current model, the portable design. It's all in one. No battery other than the electrolytic capacitors on this. And so yeah, and I'll just try to answer a few questions that have come through in the video. The scope is a real scope. It's made by Seed Studio. You can look that up on the internet. They call their scope the Nano. And it's just a great little scope. It was a Christmas present to me this year from Mr. Steele, and I'm putting that to good use. So yeah, check those out. The other thing I want to point out, at first on these circuits I was using a transistor from a Kodak camera and a transformer from a Fuji camera, and I just had to keep eliminating different things that were in the circuit. But what I finally got down to is that you can use the transistor from one of these Fuji cameras as well as the transformer. At least that's what I did in this last model, and it worked. The other thing you'll see in the schematic are these what I'm calling leaking diodes. Polarity is important on those. You may have to flip them. You'll find that if you put them in the wrong way, this will short out and drain almost instantly. The other thing that I do when I'm testing different coils is I just hold each end of those exiting wires, and the current passes through my body, and depending on how hard you squeeze, you can actually control the light intensity. One other thing on winding this coil, it's wound just like a Stubblefield coil for those who follow that part of my thread. This one is actually enamel covered iron wire. Here's a floral wire. It is enamel covered, and it's a 26 gauge on this coil. I've got that, and I've got enamel covered copper wire. And just wound side by side. I've got about 6 layers on here. If your coil's too small, here's an example of a coil they made that was too small. It won't work. You'll grab the 2 exiting ends, and the circuit will just instantly discharge. This one worked. This is copper wire, and this is a finer gauge. This is 30 gauge. 2 copper wires, no iron wire in this, and this one worked. Not as efficiently as this one though. Then I've got a large one here that I've been using for some pretty serious testing. This big one has a hollow core, so I can put in iron and ferrite and different things and experiment with the subtle differences that may give to the circuit. But anyway, I will also show you guys, in addition to this one, I have this test circuit design that allows me to test different things. So I will set that one up as well. But you can see here the light's pulsating. So don't get the idea that these things run forever or anything. These are something that I'm excited about, that I'm experimenting with, trying to extend the runtime. One of the things I noticed that's pretty interesting, kind of in the style of the Captrat, is that if I cup my hand around this and touch the top of the capacitors, I can really brighten that up. Let's see, there we go. Look at that. Just from touching the top of the capacitors to the bulb, and obviously that may be draining the capacitors faster. I've also experimented with putting 2 probes in the ground and letting the current run through there. All kinds of fascinating things that you can experiment with this circuit. I'm going to set this one aside and show you a little bit more about this one. Okay, I just wanted to show a few details using this testing board. All I've got on here is the transistor and the transformer. This is the point that exits to the second coil. And between these 2 wires are where I show in the schematic the leaking diodes. Originally I'd stake these into the ground about 20 feet apart. I've tried all kinds of things, and I've had success with all kinds of things, even dried orange peel, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to show some basic things here. Basically, this is a larger coil, but let me just short the gap here. You can see the light coming out. I've got no batteries on this circuit, and I don't plan on using any through this testing. This will just be what's in those electrolytic capacitors. But you know, if I touch lightly, I can make it come on dimly, and I squeeze, and it comes on bright. That's just a way to test, you know, a coil. This one has an iron core. Let me just show what another one's like. Here's this one may be a little harder to hook up, but here's a really tiny coil. This is getting close to the minimum of what I've had success with as far as size goes. Alright, you saw it flash there for a second. Alright, so now to test that, I'm just going to short out the two sides. You can see how it's a lot brighter. It's draining the capacitors faster, but it is much brighter. And again, I've not re-energized this with any battery current at all. This is, again, like I said, just no batteries, just these electrolytic capacitors. So that's what that coil's behaving like. What I found that you really want is a coil that allows you to control the amount of energy spent. So here's this large coil. I don't have an iron core or anything in it. Just to answer, there's been some questions about the ferrite core in this. The ferrite core is actually in this transformer here. And it is crucial. You know, I've cracked apart one of these transformers, removed the ferrite core, and tried it, and this thing doesn't run at all, basically. So that is a crucial part of the equation, is the ferrite core here. The ferrite core over here may or may not be making a difference. I just have not got into accurate timing enough to test. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to short out over here, and what this coil allows me to do, this is a really nice coil. With this coil I can touch lightly and control, you know, if you're just real low pulsating, I can squeeze harder and bring the light up really bright. You can see how this coil works so much better than any of the others. So yeah, the coil makes a big difference. Again, no batteries in the circuit. I suppose it's redundant to keep pointing that out. I just think it's so neat. So yeah, this coil is the direction I'm going in my experimenting. This is just a large coil wound just like a Nathan Stubblefield coil. This is copper wire, both of these. No iron wire in this coil at all. I need to make another one and try it with iron beside copper. But anyway, there's obviously a lot of room to experiment with this. And I just really like this little test board configuration because it allows me to prototype different ideas. And I've also seen, when I've charged some of these up to higher voltages, constant arcing sparks form if you've got wires too close to each other. It's pretty fascinating. One other thing I want to point out, you can drive LEDs with this while driving the CFL. I've been able to do that off of the transistor, just like you do on a regular Joule thief. I've been able to come off each leg of the transistor. Now, one thing I did that was really interesting, I actually connected the two legs of the transistor to a full, to a rectifier. And from the rectifier I was able to drive multiple LEDs while this was running. And I experimented a little bit with feeding back some of that current back into the capacitor bank. So there's lots of room to experiment on this, folks. But again, there we go. It's a neat little device. I can't wait to see the replications. Let's all take this and run with it. Just I'm gonna show what it is here. Ouch! I just got shocked. Yeah, you can get shocked doing this. This is all do it at your own risk kind of stuff, folks. This is not anything that I get any guarantees from me on. I've been shocked multiple times doing these experiments. But anyway, that's it. Try different coils. The transistor is fairly important, and I've listed the two that I've had success with in the schematic. So hopefully that's all the information you need to replicate this. So can't wait to see the replications. Let's keep experimenting.